You did something recently that nobody saw coming. And I don't mean something small. I mean, you made a move, said a word, drew a line, showed a side of yourself that completely shattered the version of you that people had been carrying around in their heads for years. The quiet one spoke, the gentle one snapped, the one who always forgives walked away, the one who always stays left, the one who always bends finally broke, and instead of breaking down, you broke open. And now everyone around you is standing in the wreckage of every assumption they ever made about you, and they don't know what to do with themselves because the person they thought they understood, the person they had figured out, categorized, filed away in a neat little box labeled safe or predictable or easy, that person is gone. And whoever is standing in front of them now is someone they have never seen before. And it terrifies them. Okay, so I literally had to stop what I was doing to record this because the energy on this one is not playing around. I'm Stella, love tarot with Stella. Subscribe if you're new because we stay busy around here. Real quick, only take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You know how we do. Now, let me get into this because, oh my gosh, I have been waiting to tell somebody this all day. Let me tell you exactly what happened. You were patient for a very long time, longer than anyone had any right to expect. You absorbed things that should have gotten a reaction and you gave back calm. You were disrespected and you responded with grace. You were overlooked and you kept showing up. You watched people take your kindness and mistake it for a lack of teeth. And you let them believe that because confrontation costs you something that most people don't understand, it costs you peace. And peace is your most valuable currency. You would rather lose the argument than lose your center. You would rather let someone think they won than sacrifice the inner quiet you've spent years cultivating. And here's what nobody realizes. That restraint was never weakness. It was the most disciplined thing you've ever done. Holding your tongue when you had the perfect sentence loaded, keeping your expression neutral when your chest was on fire, walking away from fights you absolutely would have won because winning would have cost you the version of yourself you'd worked so hard to build. Every single time you chose silence over confrontation, it wasn't because you couldn't speak. It was because you calculated the cost and decided the peace was worth more than being right. And people saw the silence and called it submission. They had no idea. They were watching the most controlled person in the room exercise a level of restraint they couldn't manage for 5 minutes. So you let it go again and again and again until the letting go stopped being a choice and started being a pattern, and the pattern became a cage. And one day, maybe recently, maybe within the last few months, something happened that was 1 degree past your limit. Not the biggest thing they'd ever done, not the most dramatic offense, just the one that came after all the others. The straw and something in you that had been bending for years finally straightened. And when it straightened, it made a sound that everyone heard. What you did after that is what has people in shock. Because you didn't explode, you didn't throw a tantrum, you didn't match their energy with chaos. You responded with a clarity so sharp and so calm that it cut deeper than any scream ever could. You said the thing you'd been swallowing. You made the decision you'd been postponing. You removed yourself from a situation, a relationship, a dynamic, a role that had been draining you, and you did it with a steadiness that made everyone in the room realize this wasn't emotional. This wasn't reactive. This was someone who had made their decision a long time ago and was just now informing everyone else. And that's what broke their perception. Not the anger, the absence of anger, the composure, the surgical precision of someone who isn't reacting but executing. You didn't burn the bridge in a fire. You dismantled it brick by brick with your bare hands and a steady pulse. And they watched you do it and realized we never knew this person. We knew the version they were letting us see. And this version is something else entirely. I keep getting the number 5 around you right now. 5 is the number of radical change, upheaval, freedom. It's the card of the tower in motion, the old structure crumbling so something real can be built in its place. But 5 isn't chaotic change. It's necessary change. The kind that looks destructive from the outside but feels like liberation from the inside. And that's exactly what you're experiencing right now. The people around you see disruption. You feel relief. They see someone who changed. You finally stop pretending. I'm picking up the initials J or R connected to someone deeply affected by this shift. And for some of you, it's an M or a D. If those initials mean something, drop them in the comments because the confirmation on this is very strong. Now, let me tell you who is most shaken by this. Because it's not just one person, it's a constellation of people, and each one of them is reacting differently to the same event, you becoming visible. The first group is the ones who benefited from your silence. These are the people who had a sweet deal. They could say things to you that they wouldn't dare say to anyone else. They could cancel plans, ignore your boundaries, dismiss your opinions, take your labor for granted because you never made them pay for it. Your patience was their permission slip. And now that the permission has been revoked, they are panicking. Not because they miss you, because they miss what you provided. The emotional labor, the constant availability, the safety net of knowing there was one person in their life who would never hold them accountable, and now you're holding them accountable, and they are calling it betrayal. Let me say that again because it's important. They are calling your boundaries betrayal. They are telling people you changed. They are framing your self-respect as aggression because the only version of you that was convenient for them was the version that didn't have any. The second group is the ones who are genuinely stunned. These are the people who loved you or thought they did, but loved the easy version, the version that never pushed back, the version that was always available, always accommodating, always warm. And now they're seeing edges on you that they didn't know existed, and they don't know whether to be scared or attracted. Some of them are both, because this new version of you, the one with the sharp tongue and the steady hands and the absolute refusal to shrink, is magnetic in a way the old version never was. You're not performing kindness anymore. You're choosing it. And there is a world of difference between someone who is kind because they don't know how to be anything else and someone who is kind because they evaluated the situation and decided you deserve it. The second version is terrifying because it means the kindness can be withdrawn. And people who never feared losing your warmth are now lying awake, realizing it was never guaranteed. It was a gift. And they were treating it like an entitlement. And then there's a third group, the silent watchers. These are people on the periphery of your life who never had direct access to you but always observed. Coworkers, acquaintances, friends of friends, people who knew your name and your face but not your story. And they are the ones most magnetically affected by this shift because they have no emotional investment in the old version. They're not mourning what you used to be. They're just seeing what you are now. And what you are now is someone who walks into a room and rearranges the hierarchy without saying a word. Someone whose energy announces itself before their voice does. Someone who has stopped asking permission to exist at full volume. And these peripheral people watch for them are about to start approaching you. New connections, unexpected invitations, people who suddenly want to know you, not because you changed, because the signal finally matches the source. I'm getting strong Aries and Scorpio energy around this transformation. And for some of you, this is deeply Aquarius, the revolutionary, the one who will burn their entire life to the ground before they'll live another day inside a structure that doesn't fit. For the person most drawn to this new version of you, I'm picking up Leo or Sagittarius energy, fire, recognizing fire. Someone who has always sensed something combustible underneath your composure and is now watching it ignite with a mixture of awe and hunger. For some of you, I'm picking up physical details about the person most affected. Someone who stands slightly taller than you, a jawline that tightens when they're processing something they can't say. Dark features for most of you, strong brows, intense eyes that hold contact a beat too long. For others, it's lighter green or gray eyes with something almost predatory about the way they focus. Hands that are always doing something, drumming, gripping, adjusting, except when they're near you. When they're near you, their hands go completely still. Like their body knows that any sudden movement might break whatever is happening between you. Now, let me talk about this person specifically. Because there is someone who watched your transformation and something inside them unlocked. They always suspected you were more than what you showed. There were moments, small ones, easy to miss, where they caught a flash of something underneath, a comment that was sharper than your usual tone, a look that held more heat than your face normally carries, a decision that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than the surface level person everyone else was interacting with. They collected those moments without knowing they were collecting them. And now that the surface has cracked open and the real you is standing in plain sight, this person feels like they've been waiting for this exact version of you their entire life. They are thinking about you constantly, not the old you, this you, the one who drew the line, the one who walked away from something everyone expected you to tolerate, the one who looked someone dead in the eye and said no without flinching, without apologizing, without softening it with a smile. That moment replays in their head on a loop. The sound of your voice when you said it, the absolute stillness in your face, the way the room went quiet because everyone felt the shift simultaneously. They've never been more attracted to anyone in their life, and it's because this is the first time they've seen you without the filter, without the performance of being palatable, without the constant calibration of yourself to make everyone else comfortable. You stopped adjusting. And when you stopped adjusting, something magnetic turned on that had been dormant your whole life. And this person imagines things about you now that keep them up. Not the dramatic version, the real one. They imagine you in a quiet room telling them the truth about something, not a confession, just the truth. The kind of unedited, unpolished, slightly raw honesty that you've never given anyone because you've always been too busy managing how other people feel to say what you actually think. They imagine being the person you stop managing around, the one where you don't calculate your words before you say them, where the first draft is the final draft because you trust them enough to let language come out unfiltered. That level of access to the unperformed you is what they want more than anything physical, more than anything romantic, more than anything the world would call desire. They want backstage. They want the version that nobody gets. And now that they've seen evidence that version exists, they can't stop reaching for it. They imagine things about this new version of you that are almost embarrassingly specific. They imagine sitting across from you while you argue about something you actually care about, not the agreeable nod you used to give, but the real pushback, the fire in your eyes. When someone challenges something you believe in, they want to be on the receiving end of that fire, not to be burned by it, to be warmed by it. They imagine a night where neither of you is performing takeout containers on the floor, your hair undone, your voice dropping into that lower register. It hits when you're tired and honest and not curating yourself for anyone. They imagine you mid-sentence, stopping, looking at them, and saying something so unfiltered and true that it hangs in the air between you like a living thing. That's the intimacy they're chasing. Not body's truth, unmanaged, unpolished, slightly dangerous truth from the mouth of someone who spent their whole life managing every word before it left their lips. And the physical, let me be direct, because it's radiating through this reading. The way you carry yourself now has rewired something in this person's body. Your posture changed when you stopped shrinking. Your eyes hold differently. There's a weight to your gaze now that wasn't there before or was always there but hidden, and when it lands on someone, it pins them. This person has felt that gaze and their body responded before their brain could intervene. Pulse elevated, skin flushed, a heat that started in their chest and spread outward until their hands were shaking. They've replayed that moment, the moment your eyes held theirs, with this new unflinching stillness more times than they would ever admit. And every time they replay it, the wanting gets worse. Not just desire, a gravitational pull, like their atoms are rearranging themselves to face in your direction. The physical desire is there too. I need to be honest about that. Something about the way you carry yourself now does something to their nervous system they can't control. The way you hold eye contact without dropping it first, the way you move through spaces slower now, not uncertain, deliberate, like you're no longer in a rush to accommodate the pace of the room. You set the pace now, and they notice it in their body before they notice it in their mind. Their breathing changes when you enter a space, their posture shifts, something in their chest opens and tightens simultaneously, and they don't have a word for what that feeling is, but they know it started the day you stopped being who everyone expected you to be. The jealousy? Oh, the jealousy. This person has become fiercely territorial about you in the worst possible way, not possessive in the controlling sense. Territorial in the sense that they have started viewing every other person in your orbit as someone who doesn't deserve the version of you they're receiving. When someone else gets your attention now, especially the new, unfiltered, powerful attention, they feel it like a theft. Like someone is walking out of a museum with a painting that belongs to them. They know it's irrational, they know they have no claim, but the feeling doesn't respond to logic. It responds to something deeper, some part of them that decided you were theirs before their conscious mind caught up, and no amount of reasoning can undo what the body has already committed to. And the worst part is that this new version of you is attracting attention from everywhere. People who never noticed you before are noticing you now. People who overlooked you are suddenly very interested. And this person watches that attention gather around you like moths to a flame that just learned how bright it actually is, and they feel a fury so irrational it frightens them because they want to be the one who saw it first. They want credit for recognizing what everyone else missed. And the idea that someone else might reach you before they find the courage to say what they feel is a thought that makes their blood physically run cold. I keep getting the number 16, and for those who know tarot, that's the tower. Destruction of false structures, the collapse of everything that wasn't real so that what is real can finally stand. That's you right now. You are the tower, not the destruction, the revelation. The moment after the lightning strikes and everything fake falls away, and what remains is the foundation that was always there, always solid, always real. People built their cardboard castles on top of your foundation and called it theirs. The lightning took the castles. The foundation you remains. And everyone looking at the rubble is realizing for the first time what was underneath all along. If this is hitting you right now, I need you to drop the words "stay shocked" in the comments. Like this video and subscribe, because what happens in this community is different from anything else on this platform, and I need your energy in here. Now, let me tell you what's shifting in your external world because of this transformation. Something opened when you stopped performing. A career path or creative direction that had been stuck behind your people-pleasing suddenly has room to move. You stopped saying yes to things that drained you, and the energy that freed up is now flowing into something that actually matters. I keep getting the number 8 alongside this karmic return, abundance, the material world, catching up to your spiritual evolution. Money is moving towards you differently now. Opportunities are arriving from directions you didn't expect, and the common thread is that none of it requires you to shrink. For the first time, the things coming to you want the full-size version, the unedited version, the version that says exactly what it means and doesn't apologize for the space it takes up. Now let me bring this back to you, because I need to say something you might resist hearing. You are mourning the old version of yourself, even as you celebrate this new one. There's a grief underneath the liberation, a quiet sadness about the relationships that couldn't survive you becoming real. Some people love the performance, and when the curtain came down and you stepped out as yourself, they left, not because you did something wrong, because the person they were attached to never actually existed. They were in love with the character you played to keep the peace. And losing that audience, even an audience you were performing for against your will, still hurts. It's okay that it hurts. It doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means you were a good actor and now you're done acting. And the stage is empty and the house lights are up. And for the first time, you're standing in the room as yourself with no script, no costume, no direction from anyone else. And it's terrifying and exhilarating and lonely and free all at the same time, all four at once. That's where you are right now. And that's exactly where you need to be. The number one keeps flashing. One is the beginning, not the end of the old story, the first page of the new one, the story where you don't narrate yourself in third person, where you don't preface every opinion with, I might be wrong, but where you walk into rooms as the main character of your own life instead of a supporting role in everyone else's. That story is starting now, and the people who are meant to be in it are already finding their way to you, not because you called them, but because the frequency you're broadcasting changed and only the right people can hear it. You were never too much. You were always this. You just stopped hiding it, and the world is adjusting. Okay, I need you to go receive this now. Stop overthinking it. Stop talking yourself out of it. This is coming for you and you deserve it, period. If this hit, like this video right now, share it with your person, subscribe because I am literally always in here dropping something, and comment below because I read every single one and I want to know who this is about. Okay, go. I love you. Bye.